To everybody who's not from Bangalore, welcome to Bangalore. ನಮಗೆಲ್ಲ ತುಂಬ ಖುಷಿ ಇದೆ ನೀವು ಈಚೆಯಿಂದ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀರಾ. And this is probably the only city in the world where we wear a sweater in the morning, we wear a half sleeve shirt at office, and back in the evening we wear an overcoat when we go for a walk on Church Street. So, and don't be afraid or don't feel bad about the Bangalore traffic. It's created by us. It's not something natural. We on purpose have potholes. We on purpose have bad signals. That's the key to so many startups. Because when you're at a signal, you network. And so half of your startup starts there. So we're proud of the Bangalore roads. Thank you.
Exit happens by the time the signal.
Right. Okay. I'll just take a few minutes. I've been asked to share my journey as an entrepreneur. It's been about 12 years, so I'll just take about 4-5 minutes to let you know what I do. And part of the journey that I think has shaped or helped me move. I did my schooling from Bishop Cottons, just across the road. And then I did my mechanical engineering from Bangalore and MBA from Christ University. I'm glad we have one of our professors from Christ here, Professor Anil. Thank you for coming. So, I'm from a business family. My father is a first generation entrepreneur. He shifted to Bangalore about 40 years ago. And he came with a second-hand Bajaj Chetak scooter. I remember that because on Saturdays and Sundays we used to go to Kavan Park. I used to stand on that scooter. So that's how we started. He did not want me to be an entrepreneur because he spent 25, 30, 35 years of his life living the hard way. He thought after good education, why not get a 9-to-5 job at any good Indian MNC company, work Monday to Friday, take week off Saturday, Sunday, and have a good family life, good work-life balance. But it's there in the genes, right? So I could not correlate to what he wanted me to do. So immediately after MBA, I was also heading the placement cell at the MBA college. My father told me, you have to work for a company. You cannot start up on your own. I had some plans to start up. And I took the placement offer. I went to the office in the morning. I came back in the evening. They didn't know that I had resigned the same day. I came back after giving a resignation letter. It was a retail company and I had a very good post. So next morning, he just did not kill me. I just completed my breakfast. He said, you're not going to office? I said, no. I've given my resignation letter the evening earlier. So I actually did it. So it was a little crazy scene. Thank God I had completed my breakfast by then. And so I just walked off. I didn't show him my face for the rest of the day. And I joined his office. I worked for his office for about 6 months. He was into trading of polymer and packaging products, which are used to seal boxes, carton boxes. You have those white strips on the boxes with names printed like Patanjali, Haldiram, Sony. So we used to trade those products. And for 6 months, I worked in his office at various positions, understanding how the accounts works and what kind of client base we are catering to. And then I set up a manufacturing plant in 2012 called Bimal Corporation. That's again my father's name. And it was the first fully automated strapping line in South India. I don't know why not many people are into this line, but maybe we were a little lucky. It's a kind of a niche kind of a business where, I mean, who would care? We all open the box and we look at the product inside. So not many people would be curious to know what the strip is. We just throw it out. It's used to just pack the product and make sure that it safely reaches from the factory to the consumer. So we put up our first manufacturing plant in 2012. And since then, God has been really kind. I have this keen interest of economics. I'm not an economics student, but I read balance sheets. I love to read balance sheets. So it could be domestic, our indigenous economy, or global economy. and factors that contribute to how the economy is going to play in the next couple of years. So I have my own way of looking at various numbers and then do my calculation. And the philosophy of how we work is very conventional. I'm not saying don't use technology. We use technology everywhere where it helps us. We use technology in our manufacturing. We've got ERP systems. We've got a technology-enabled, robust logistics system, payment cycles. All that is okay. But the basics of business, according to me, is the demand and the supply. You cannot create artificial demand. So for any person who's wanting to be a startup or things like that, you want to start off with something, I would say first look if there's a demand. And is the demand sustainable? Just because you're excited with an idea does not necessarily mean that it can be converted to a profitable and sustained business venture. You like something, right? Very good. That could be a passion. But just because you like it does not mean that in the real marketplace, customers are going to buy your product or your service. They're not going to do it unless one of these 3 or 4 things happen. One is that your product needs to create more value to the consumer than what he or she is already using. Second, it has to be affordable. Why would somebody buy your product if you're giving the same value? It has to be affordable. Third, it has to solve some problem. It has to make something easy. It has to either save time or it has to give you a delight experience which some other product does not. To anybody who's getting into the startup wagon, I would say be prepared. It's a long journey. You have to dedicate 10, 15, 20, 30 years of your life to building the company, running the company, go through all the cycles of ups and downs. Things are not going to be always rosy. The last 6 months, you know how the markets are being hammered. One geopolitical situation somewhere, and the entire world, rubber, plastic, steel, the prices. So it's not always so positive and rosy. There are going to be times where you need to have your contingency planning. You need to make sure that your debt, your leverage levels. This is one more thing that we keenly focus on. Leverage is something which should be used, but very cautiously. Never over leverage. When everything is great, you've got leverage, fantastic. But what when the market situations are not so good? Because we have these economic cycles across the world. If you pick up global economic history, there are ups, there are downs. In stock market, we call them the bull cycle, the bear cycle. It's always going to be there. It happens with human life also. In your personal life, you've got ups, you've got downs. Every day is not the same. So at our company, we always we have this mechanism, and in all our meetings, we tell all our workforce, even the clients, even the suppliers, always be prepared for the worst. When you're running a company, when you have your cost model, be prepared for the worst. The good part is going to take care of itself. When you're making money, when you've got clients, when you've got orders, it takes care of itself. Where does your insight come into? It is preparing for times which are not so good. When your sales go down, or when your payment cycles are not so good, what do you do then? You need to maintain your employees. You don't start firing people just because your sales are not good. So somewhere we do this reality check to make ourselves so robust that even in the worst of times, we don't have to lay off any employee. So the entire COVID period of 2.5 years, I can proudly say we did not let go even a single employee. And now we've built that emotional connect with them. Even if I tell him, you please go, he won't go. Okay. 2016 and 17, we started a construction and warehousing company called Shiv Tara Constructions, where we developed small industrial parks, basically targeting MSME industries. Anybody employing, say, 50 people to 500 people on 5,000 to 1 lakh square feet of area. So we sell plots. We also develop customized industrial premises and we design warehouses for clients. Kanti Sweets, those who are from Bangalore, you must be knowing. They are one of our major customers, so we do a lot of work for them. And these are two verticals that we basically are into. And apart from that, I have been associated with Federation of Indian Industries, which is it's a business chamber. FICCI takes care of large industries, and we at FII take care of industries from say 5 crores to maybe 500 crores, because these kind of industries are not able to reach to the correct medium, the government agencies or things like that. So we are a connecting link between such industries and the government at state, center, and international levels. We've got presence in 52 countries and 23 states. Yeah. Now we'll keep it little interactive so that nobody is bored. Any particular questions or anything that you would like to discuss on open?
From your perspective, how can you help the startup ecosystem, and specifically from the industry body that you represent? What is it that is in store for everybody here?
Okay. Yes. For FII and the startup, we have 20 different platforms under the FII. So we've got one on entrepreneurship, we've got one on women empowerment. We have one specifically for startups. And just last week, we've finalized and we are signing an MOU with Majadomo, with Mr. Gaurav Punjabi ji. So we help people who, like most of you done, we would be a networking place basically. We've got about 60,000 industries registered with us. So we would be a networking place, and wherever we meet in industrialists and investors across the world, we can give you a platform to, we can arrange meetings with them. And second, at government level and policy level, we are doing our bit. We are coming up with lots of proposals that we think should be right for the future of India and Indian economy. Because I think we are living in a very good time and at a good place. The next 1 or 2 years is going to be little challenging for India, for the globe, because of factors that are not in our hand. But the next 15, 20 years, I think the Indian economy is going to grow at a rate which none of us have thought about. And banks, you're the backbone of the country. We always say that the banking sector is the skeleton. So from the Spider-Man series, we have this quote: with more power should come more responsibility. So you can make businesses, you can also break businesses. So you give loan to good people with due checks, so that bad loans and bad debts don't happen. Because for an example, a 5,000 or a 10,000 crore bad debt affects thousands of other people, common people who are depositing their money in the bank. So I would say you have a great role to play. Yeah.
How was your 6 months after you left the first job?
The first 6 months at home,
After you left the job?
I quit the first day. I went to the office in the morning. I didn't even take, I didn't get my salary for that day.
Working with your parents?
With my parents. The first 6 months, any relative that would come home, my parents would, like a typical family, we all know how things go. But I think he's lost it and things like that. And see, this is how it is always. At the end of the day, no matter what you do, we all have to fight it out ourselves. It's our battle. In the beginning, nobody's going to support you. They all think you're crazy. And once they start seeing the results, I knew this fellow was going to do something good. बोला था मैंने ये कुछ ना कुछ करेगा. So, but pretty soon, I think in a year and a half's time, they got to see some tangible results, and they were supportive after that.
So Pratik, since you were speaking about the banking sector, and so how do you see the role of the banking sector, let's say towards, in the Indian economy, progressively speaking? What do you think the banking sector should be focusing on?
Yes. So, like in India, we've got the political system, we've got the judiciary, and the political system and the administrations, the executive. I think banking is like the fourth or the fifth pillar, which should be alienated from all bureaucracy. If you ask me, you have RBI, you have the regulatory body, you have the laws, as long as the banks are following the laws, no politics or influence or these kind of stuff should decide what the bank has to do. We all know, if a person who's got a Bajaj scooter or a TVS motor, a 3,000, 4,000 EMI is not able to pay, you have these 4 people with, kind of bouncers going to his house and making sure that the entire area knows that he's not paid the EMI for 3,000 rupees. But when a big shot runs away with 10,000 crores or 20,000 crores, so I always say, if you're small and stupid, it's okay. If you're small, you can be stupid, because that stupidness of yours does not affect other people. But once you start growing, once you have thousands of people associated with you, working with you or working for you, or you start impacting lives, it's then that your business ethics and morals start coming in. I always say a good and a healthy entrepreneur is an asset to the country. But a bad entrepreneur is a curse. He's going to spoil lives of thousands of people. So you always have to be careful of whom you're working with. Do the due check of your management and things like that. It's all very important. Wealth is not, I always say Rome was not built in a day, but Hiroshima was destroyed in a few hours. Also, I would connect this with the startups, people who want to get into startups, and you're not going to become millionaires and billionaires overnight. The first thing, you forget about it. You look at any big company, there's a 20, 30, 40-year legacy. Tata is what it is today because of hundreds of years. So you think that, oh right, I've got an idea and I'm going to change overnight. There's only one Elon Musk in the world. You can't have Elon Musk in every street. So be ready to work hard. And what's the hurry? Have a good work-life balance. At the end of the day, if say suppose you earn 5 crores a year, you're going to drive a Mercedes. If you earn 50 crores also, you're going to drive a Mercedes, no? So grow organically. I'm saying grow inclusively and in a sustained manner, so that you don't have to cut back. You keep growing without any, you don't have a foundation, you don't have fundamentals. Then it's all in the air. Your growth has to be robust. It has to be sustained. I was just speaking to Mr. Lodha in the evening. He said, suppose you were to take the staircase, 8th floor. How would you do it? I said, I would run the first 3 floors. Then stay there for 10-15 seconds. Take a deep breath. Make sure that, yes, I'm on the 3rd floor, I'm not going to fall down. Then again run the next 3 floors. So if you connect this to the business, grow in installments. Once you've covered up little distance, stop there, consolidate. If you have leverage, clear the leverage. If you have debt, clear the debt. Then that growth of yours, nobody can take back from you, because it's all paid up for. And if you're just growing without even knowing what your leverage ratios are, and then as somebody just said, we've got lots of listed companies. They've been the biggest wealth destroyers of independent India. Don't have to take names, but yeah.
So now, as a startup company, what are all the things they have to do in terms of what are the specific metrics they need to take care to be prepared for the worst? With all these layoffs happening in the tech industry and all, what a startup founder have to focus so that he will always be prepared for the worst? Specific inputs on it.
So first is to identify your demand and supply. Before you get into something, as I said, you like something, may not necessarily turn into a good business model. So sit down, do a lot of due checks if this can be a sustained business model. If yes, go step by step. Don't have big plans. Couple of years, go slow, go steady, make less money, but don't lose money. Because those couple of years, those 3 years, 5 years, at the starting of the presentation, we saw so many startups. We had numbers of 50, 60,000. I have a small question. How many of these have survived beyond 1,000 days, beyond 3 years? And you'll be astonished. 8 out of 10 startups shut down within the first 3 years. There are only 2 which see beyond. So there must be something wrong, no? Why would a startup shut down in 3 years, before 3 years? Because you've not done the demand and supply thing. You've not seen your cost model. You don't know if you're going to make money. You're doing it because you're excited and you think it is a fashion to start a startup. Please do not get me wrong, I'm only being little realistic from what I've been seeing in business. Your model has to be economically sustained. You need to have a profit model. And it has to happen every day, month after month, year after year. Not like an IPL season that 4 months you have IPL, 3 months you do business, remaining 8 months you tell your employees, I don't know what to do. So go slow with an open eye. Don't get carried away with your newspapers and the startup news and all this. They'll all keep making news. But after 3 years, you'll see none of them are there. Then you have a new set of 50 people who are making news. Then again, this chain keeps repeating. So I would say grow slow, grow steady, grow organically. Don't be in a hurry. So when people ask me, whom do you look up to? I very proudly say I look up to Sri Ratan Tata and Sri Narayan Murthy, the way they build their enterprises. It's taken them, Infosys taken 30, 40 years. They've never destroyed shareholder wealth. They've never destroyed stakeholder wealth, confidence, supplier, vendor. You proudly say, even if somebody's worked for Infosys, after 20 years of quitting, he still says, I'm an ex-Infosys. It's an example, because that's value. That value doesn't come just by the word of it. It comes by the ethics, the things they've been doing year after year. So build value is what I would say.
Very well said, sir.
So hi Pratik. So I see a lot of headwinds now in terms of war happening, inflation, rates going up. So since you said you are also into equity investments, where do you see Indian economy in the next 2 years or probably next 5 years? What do you think?
This is my personal opinion.
Yes, personally.
Yeah. I think most of the hammering is already been done. There's very little. I don't see Nifty going down below 14,500. That's my personal opinion. And if you're holding a fundamentally good stock, do not sell. And if you're not holding a fundamentally good stock, please sell it tomorrow morning. This is what I would say. But India's got next 15, 20 years, India is going to be the biggest wealth creator in the world. And I strongly feel our policies need to change a little bit. I'll just take a small example. I'll give you some eye-opening facts. You'll think about this today evening. Just think of this to be India. 130 crore people, India. 5 to 6 crore people who are filing income tax returns. It's just like people at Yes Bank. Suppose they have 130 employees and only 5 or 6 come to work, but all 130 want the paycheck, want all the facilities. How do you think India is going to work? We compare ourselves to Europe and US. US has got an average of 46% taxpayers. 46% of the population pays taxes. Europe, the number is even higher. And in India, of the 6 crore who are filing returns, about 2.5 to 3 crore file nil returns. So eventually, there's only about 2.5 crore or 3 crore people who pay taxes. And we are trying to meet the Honorable Prime Minister at his office. If everything goes right, we would be given time. I'm saying we need to change the entire taxation system so that you have inclusiveness of everybody. A small example is a company does a 500 crore turnover. And we have brilliant auditors. Towards the end of it, they say the company is in loss. Paisa nahi banaya. So the government does not get a single rupee. The system is corrupt, or those are things that are undebatable. You forget that. I always say, ask what you have done for India. Don't ask what India is doing for you. So I think we need a robust tax system. The present income tax should be substituted with a one-way expenditure tax. For example, I give a payment of 1 crore rupees. 1 lakh, 1% of it goes directly to the central government as income tax or expenditure tax. The remaining 99 lakh is credited to the person to whom I'm giving money. He does not have to file income tax returns. I don't have to file income tax returns. And I think we have a pretty strong banking sector to do that. Every mobile, everything has got a Google Pay. So my calculation tells me that last year the income tax collection was about 27 lakh crores. And you do this the first year, your collection will be anywhere around 300 to 400 lakh crores. Just imagine you get your 20 months salary on the first month. How much money the Indian government is going to have? Then you reduce the taxes on fuel, you reduce taxes on other things, you reduce GST. So 130 crore people living in India, I'm not saying you give more tax, less tax. Give a percentage of what you're capable of doing transaction. If you're capable to do a transaction of 1 crore, you're capable of giving that 1 lakh rupee to the central government. So I think our taxation system needs to change. And if this happens, it will be the biggest reform after independence. It's going to change India forever. I go on to predict that something like this, if the government is willing to do, the US dollar would come down to 20-25 rupees in 3 to 4 years. And I've got facts. I'm not being over-optimistic, I've got facts. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Pratik. And as you said that if contributes, will take our country to the next level. And the amount of progress, the development, what we are seeing around, I'm thankful to each citizen of this country who contributes, comes up, and put their effort for this nation building cause. Rightly said by you, and thank you so much for sharing your experience. I'm sure all the young dynamic entrepreneur here will take this clue from Mr. Pratik on his expertise, what he has been, and how he's built his empire over here. So thank you so much, sir. Pleasure to have you with Yes Bank. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Special thanks to Mr. Gaurav Punjabi from Mazadomo for giving me the opportunity to come here. And I always end it with let's make India a better and peaceful country.
Absolutely.
Jai Hind, Jai Karnataka.
Thank you, sir.